Welcome to Happy Hour with the Home Collective. We are your hosts, Bill Ball and Kristin McFeely. Today we're going to be talking about an interesting listing that is not one of ours. We're not trying to sell this listing to you folks. But Kristin had a chance to stage this property, and it's super, super unique, crazy expensive and eccentric, and they're marketing it a totally different way than we're used to in these parts. So hang in there with us. It's going to be real interesting. Trust me on this. It's not just some boring listing we have somewhere. I promise you that. It's 5 o'clock and it's happy hour. Kristin, what are you drinking today?
Well, I'm just drinking a Guinness as usual. That's what I have in my fridge. I didn't have a chance. I know, exciting. I didn't have a chance to go out and do anything today. We're recording on a different day, so we're a little, everything's a little mixed up today. So okay. I didn't have a chance to go out. So how about you?
She's blaming me, folks. Okay.
No, I'm not. Hey, listen, I'm always happy with the Guinness. I'm good with it. I like to mix it up a bit, and I didn't get a chance to. So how about you?
Yeah. Well, it was a warm one today. It felt like a first day of summer around here, but I'm drinking a Paloma. So you got a little tequila and grapefruit. Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
So it's
I like
very
that.
Citrusy, and 'tis the season. So anyway, cheers. Happy hour.
Cheers. Happy hour. Actually, the Paloma will always remind me, every time I hear it, of your wife, Sheena, because the first time I think I ever really had one was when we were at that very first Compass retreat in LA. We had just joined Compass as, the brokerage, and they were doing their annual retreat, and it happened to be in LA. And, we were all excited about being part of the new brokerage. And, we were pretty much the only people in Philly at that time. So we wanted to go and meet other people and network. And so we all went to LA, and Sheena was at the bar ordering Palomas. And I'm like, what? I don't think I've ever really had it. I'm not really a grapefruit person, to be honest. And I'm also not really a tequila person. But for whatever reason, those two things really go together. And it's delicious. And now I've gotten them many, many times since. But your wife, Sheena, was the first to really introduce me to that. Probably late.
Yeah, the bartender was confused because he thought that there was like 3 or 4 people drinking Palomas because he had to make so many. Turns out, just her.
Just Sheena.
How about that?
Well, it's delicious.
I was listening back to our coffee break last week, and I was laughing because as soon as we were talking about how the Phillies were struggling, they went on a tear that night, and that you were at the game. So
that very night, it was that very night.
It was pouring rain, right? Or it was terrible weather that night.
It was pouring. So we recorded a little early because I had tickets to that game. We were going with some friends, and the whole day I'm just like watching the weather, and I'm like, they're going to cancel this game. They're going to it wasn't even something like they'd postpone it, like a rain delay. It was like it was scheduled to rain all night long. So I'm like, they're going to cancel it. There's no way. And they didn't. And so we went to the game, and I was almost hoping that they were going to cancel it because it was just like miserable, and it was freezing cold. I thought I dressed appropriately, but it was way colder than I thought it was going to be. So I did at least have like a rain jacket with a hood. But I should have worn a winter coat. It was freezing. The stadium was dead. No one was really there. And so fortunately, there was a group of us. I guess there were 8 of us. We were able to just talk to one of the ushers and get seats under the overhang because no one was sitting in them because no one came to the game because they were smart. But it ended up being a blast. I mean, I was cold. I felt like for 3 days straight, I felt like I just couldn't warm up. Even like I had the hottest shower that night, and I just still felt cold. It was like the rain was just like blowing sideways. So there was no way to get out of it. And it was just like a mist, like the whole entire time, a constant mist. But anyway, the night itself was fantastic in terms of the game. We won, and Bryce Harper hit 3 home runs, one of which was a grand slam, and we got to witness that, and it was fantastic. So it was actually a blast. It was a blast.
No, that was really cool. Soaked.
and freezing.
when it's cold like that, that ball doesn't fly either. And he hit some bombs. I mean,
Yeah.
he really was it was crazy. I can't even believe he was able to get them out there like that. It was just nuts.
And I had so many friends that were like watching the game and they were like, oh, what a great game. And then they were like, but what idiots would be at this game? Like me.
Yeah, exactly.
We were there.
I think I texted you a picture. I had my the Ambiance channel, and I was like, my fireplace. I was like, I'm so glad I'm not at that game right now. And then it turned out to be an awesome result. So at least you had that going for you. The worst is when you sit through that and there's a loss, or the game stops after 5 innings and it doesn't even count. They go to replay it. Oh, it's just awful.
I know. And honestly, if that would have happened, we probably would have just left and gone to like Chickies and Pete's and watched the rest of it from there. Because the only reason we like stuck it out, because so many people left, but the only reason we stuck it out was because it was just a good game. And then the next night it poured also, but they did have a rain delay that was like hours long. That would have been even worse, to just be sitting there and like waiting, like, will it start? Will it start? But anyway, it ended up being a blast.
All right. Very cool. So let's take a quick break. And then coming up next, we're going to tell you about this crazy listing that Kristin worked on. Okay. So you told me briefly weeks ago about this enormous property. Is it Bucks County? It's not Bucks County.
It is.
Is
Bucks
it near New
County.
York? Oh, it is Bucks County.
It is Bucks County. Yeah.
Okay. So you were telling me about this enormous property in Bucks County weeks ago, and I've been waiting to hear about it. So you finally went there, and did you stage that whole property, or
not
just
the whole
some
property? Okay, not the whole
because it's too
property.
big, right? Like, how big is it?
It is 15,000 square feet.
Wow.
It is 15,000 square feet. Okay, so this property is really interesting. It's been listed for a little while. I think it's been on the market for like 60 days or something like that. It's full of furniture. I believe the owners, it may be a divorce situation or something like that. I'm not entirely sure about the owners, but the home is completely furnished, but it's very, very stylized. So it's really, the agent was sort of having trouble with buyers seeing past the items in the home. So it's like a lot of like almost, you're probably going to love this being from South Philly, but it's a lot of like Tuscan style, big giant chandeliers. It's very, very specific.
Would you say it's more European?
Yes, I'd say it's more European.
You're trying to say? Or is it what Americans think is going on in Europe?
That's actually interesting. That's interesting. I think the
latter.
What I
mean? It's like their spin.
I think the latter. Yeah.
Right,
yeah. I think that's exactly it.
So 15,000 square feet. Now, this I don't know how relevant this is, but so this was done years ago, right? So the owner has been there for a while. So you're saying the agent is trying to figure out. I mean, that's a tough call. When you have something that's very specific taste, how do you go about putting the pieces in there to complement it? Like, how many trips did you make there?
Well, 2 days. So we were there all day yesterday and all day today with 2 trucks, both days. So the house itself was built in 1986. And it was probably then that they kind of like, I don't know that it's necessarily been remodeled since then, but they've kind of maybe updated furniture. But the updates are kind of like, they look very late 90s, early 2000s, but also just very stylized. I'm not trying to necessarily rip on their style. It's just very much like oversized. Everything was like the furniture was just like overstuffed, big, giant. Everything was just giant. And lots and lots of chandeliers, every room. In fact, like even in the foyer, there are like 3 giant chandeliers in a row. Everything was just very big big. And it needed to be,
Yeah.
frankly, for the
Oversized.
for the size of the
yeah.
home. But
I mean, it's such a big home.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to give it's on the market,
Yeah,
right? Can
yeah.
we give
So
the
I'd love to
address?
give the address because I'd love to actually
do that.
give a shout out to the agent too, because she is trying to market this, and why not help her? The address is 254 Cafferty Road, and it's in Pipersville, Pennsylvania. So it's in Bucks County. It is the location is spectacular. It is on the Delaware River. So she actually coined the term river cliff. That's kind of what she's been naming it. And you sit very high up, and from all the balconies and all of the windows on one side of the house, you see the Delaware River. I mean, the land is spectacular. It's really...
It kind of looks like, I mean, not exactly, but I'm just saying it kind of like, it's almost like the Godfather's, the Corleone compound.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, because the first, 10, 12 pictures, maybe even more, are exterior aerial shots
Yes.
of the grounds. And it's just, it's enormous. I mean, it sits on 11 acres.
11 acres. I mean, it has this, when you come off the road, off Cafferty Road, you sort of come up this hill. Well, these big kind of pillars like sort of greet you. And then you come up this hill, and then there's a gate. You know, you have to put the gate code in. The gate opens, and then you drive. I'm not even exaggerating, probably a mile down this driveway to get to the house itself. And then the house has a big circular kind of drive. I want to say, I mean, it is multi garages. The guy was actually a car collector. So I thought I had heard something about there being like a 14 car garage, but I could be wrong about that. I think it holds maybe that many because the garages themselves have like lifts that go underground. So you can lift cars up and put them down. But the garage, even the driveway is heated. I mean, it's got every single thing you could possibly want. And it is it's pretty neat. I mean, I guess the style would be sort of French Manor, I guess, if you want to call it that. I mean, it was built in the 80s, so 86. So, you know, I guess that's kind of it.
Go ahead.
But, yeah, and it's in Tinicum Township. I should mention that too. Pipersville is in Tinicum Township.
It is, it is Masters Week, Kristin, which you know nothing about.
I know nothing about it.
But we do have some male listeners, and they'll recognize the drive down Magnolia Lane when you're entering the Masters, the big windy road. So this is kind of like similar to that. I had to mention it because it is Masters Week.
Right.
I mean, I got to get a reference.
Yeah, I only know the Phillies.
There's like two people that don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Including
It's
me,
worth it.
including your partner on this. But anyway, yeah, no, I mean, it was pretty neat. So anyway, getting back to your question. So it is furnished. The entire place is furnished, but because it's very stylized for the particular owners, I think the listing agent was having some trouble having potential buyers kind of see past that and see what really could be. So she asked us to come in. Initially, we had a big proposal with a lot of different rooms that we were to stage, but we kind of honed it down to the main floor, and we just basically toned everything down.
Because the home's already saying a lot.
Exactly.
So you're saying, let's say less.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have to, I mean, I guess you would have, well, those pieces you would have, right? Mm-hmm. Because that you're bringing it down. If you were trying to match this, there's no way. You would have to be bringing in, probably go shopping.
Well,
right?
Here's the thing, honestly.
That wouldn't be the goal anyway.
It wouldn't be the goal. And truly, you know, it would be a business decision that we probably would just not do because we would never use the stuff again. Like it.
Right, you would never use it
and
again.
And they
that makes sense.
brought us in because she's been kind of following our staging team, and she knows what we can do, and she needed this to kind of be a little more modern, but we didn't want to make it super modern, and we didn't want to do anything crazy. Like we do a lot of like colorful pop art and all kinds of stuff like that. This is not the house for that. We just wanted to minimize and simplify what they had going on so that you could really see yourself living there, and not make it too stylized. So the main things with this house are the views. The views are absolutely spectacular. So, and I don't think that the current furniture layout that they had was accenting that. So we did, there's like a sitting room that's a few steps up that has this giant picture window that overlooks the river, which is really cool. Overlooks decks below and then the river. And so we turned the seating arrangements. We basically did like all cream furniture, 2 cream sofas and 2 cream chairs. And we kind of had them facing the picture window. So it was almost like the backs of the furniture were to you when you walked in, which is kind of an interesting approach. But we wanted the eye to be drawn to the view, not to the foyer, essentially. So yeah, so kind of interesting. So we ended up staging only at the end of the day, really the kind of the first floor for the most part and the outdoor area, because she is going to be having a big party that she wants to be, I think this is so cool, like a White Lotus kind of theme. Have you seen that show?
Hold on. What does that mean?
The White Lotus. It's a show on HBO. Well, it's a show on HBO, and I think I only saw the first season of it. I think the second season it was in Tuscany. It was in Italy. And so it's meant to kind of have that look. The outdoor area has this giant pool and like kind of like pergola area and rolling hills behind it. And so we did a ton on the outside. That was one of the main things that we did. We did the decks and this pool area and then the first floor of the house. So, yeah, it's going to be cool. And it's going to be, I think the party is this Saturday. So it should be fun. I'm going to try to go and see what it's like, hobnob with the rich and famous at the party. And
there's way too many features to talk about. And frankly, I don't want to start listing features here. So, we gave out the address, Google it.
Yeah, take a look.
And see the pictures for yourself, because we're not going to be able to describe all these things. It's just overwhelming. But I wanted to ask you about, because she has a price on here.
Mm-hmm.
So she has a price on here, but she's doing an auction. So it's listed on, when you Google, you'll see like 6.8 million.
Yeah.
But how are they doing a 1-day auction? Like, how is it? Like, how's she doing? Did she explain this to you?
Yeah, she did. And I don't even know that I totally understand it. It is something like this is so foreign to me and to the business that, you and I do. So I've been kind of doing a little research. I've been really doing a deep dive into this and doing some research because I think it's such an interesting way to market these luxury properties, because what they're really trying to do is find, frankly, someone with $7 million. We don't have a ton of them around here in our neck of the woods.
Well, it's not only that. You got to find somebody who has that money, and it's probably going to be obviously somebody who has more than that, because there's a good chance they're going to want to remodel. When you have that much money, you're not really worried about just moving in and putting your stuff down. So most likely you're going to get somebody who's like, I got to do all this tile over and I got to do this and blah, blah, blah. Most likely.
Yeah. Yeah. And they probably will. And the house, you're paying also for the 11 acres. You're paying to be on the waterfront. You're paying for all the woods and the privacy. And there's so much to it that's really exciting. But anyway, so she had this idea that she would have an auction. And when I hear of auction, or when you hear of auction, what we're familiar with is like a tax sale, or, it's going to sheriff's sale or something negative. We're looking at like like it being a distressed situation. But this is the opposite of that, which I had never really heard of. And this is what I found so fascinating. This is what we were talking about earlier and why we wanted to bring it up in this episode. So she called a company called Elite Auctions. And what they do is they come in, sometimes they'll set a minimum, like a reserve. Sometimes they won't. This one does not have one. But the idea behind it is that they drum up all of this interest with this 1-day auction. You get people, calling in, people can be there in person, but they can also be, on the phone, because there's a lot of international people that they're reaching out to. And they take a cut to do this. So it's significant,
Sure,
of course, but their reach is unbelievable. I mean, they have international buyers. They have, the top of the top. They actually, this particular company also does yacht auctions. They do real estate auctions and yacht auctions. So, I mean, these are like the premier properties everywhere.
Companies like that probably just have, the most ridiculous elite database of rich people. And, probably just like we have a newsletter for our clients, they probably have a newsletter or whatever for all these people. And they probably have people that aren't even home shopping right now.
Exactly. They're just kind of looking to put their money somewhere.
Maybe I'll spend $7 million this week. What do you think, Betty?
True.
All right, let's go.
No, true.
Let's go down to the
they're
auction
looking
there.
to put their money somewhere.
Thurston.
Exactly. They're looking to put their money somewhere. This is what they do. They buy these yachts and they buy these homes all over the place. And so I just thought it was such a cool, marketing initiative, strategy. Yeah.
Yeah. It is totally different. I wonder if they get a sense, like if the company's able to get a sense of demand before they even go. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if they start putting this together and they get an idea of, like, what if you did it and nobody's bidding?
That's
like,
of course, that's always my fear. I'm such a pessimist about certain things. I'm always like, well, what if you do all of this and no one comes, or you do an open house and nobody comes? But they pretty much guarantee that, it's going to sell. And I'll be...
Well, I guess, you know what it is? I'm sorry. I guess if there's no minimum, and if there's no minimum and they're going to guarantee we're going to sell tonight, then you're going to have people showing up, I would assume. Maybe that's why there's no minimum.
Well, I guess.
Maybe there's no minimum because it's like, well, holy crap, maybe I'll get a deal. Maybe I'll only get it for $6.7 million.
Right.
Sweet.
I don't know. Yeah. So one of the things that I was thinking, of course, is like, does an auctioned, real estate sell at a reduced price? But one of the things I'm reading here is that luxury real estate that's put up for auction rarely, if ever, sells at reduced prices. In fact, just the opposite is true. The luxury real estate auction serves to drive selling prices higher. First, there's the marketing aspect. When a luxury property is put up for auction, it gets a lot more exposure than it would have otherwise. Auctions tend to highlight properties so that more potential buyers see the luxury property in all its glory, which creates more bidders. And second, auctions inherently add interest and competition. As the luxury auction drives up demand, prices naturally follow. So, I'm looking at the FAQs, like one of the questions is like, should auctions be considered a last resort to selling? And they're like, not at all. It should be part of your marketing plan. If you have a luxury property like this, that's a really like special, big luxury property. So I'm just kind of like, I think that this is such an interesting thing. And they were saying, like, for the average buyer, obviously online listing sites like Trulia and Zillow and Compass are where people go. But for luxury home buyers,
what if this is crazy. What if we go and ask her if we can record during the auction? We'll stay in the corner. I'll wear a tux.
Oh my God.
What if we sat in the corner and recorded this? Like, oh my God, dude in the blue slacks just went to 9 million.
I would love that. That would be so much fun.
What do you think?
It's April 29th.
Do you think we could? Do you think we can pull this off?
I don't know.
What if they hit us behind some potted plants or something?
Yeah, there's plenty of potted plants.
What if we dressed up as the Help? What if we if I wore a valet jacket?
We parked cars and then we slipped in. Right?
Like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. We'll like sneak in the side, lower the mic from the ceiling, one of our big boom mics.
Yeah. I mean, it could be, that would be really funny. That would be really cool.
She should. I wonder if they could. They probably want it private. These people probably want it private. I would love to see. I would watch that. Like if they streamed it somewhere, like I would watch
I
it.
would too. Well, have you ever watched like a car
I mean?
auction or anything? You know, Billy's into cars, so I've watched those auctions on TV, like the really luxury high-end sports car kind of stuff. And you've got, you know, people who are obviously there who are bidding. And then you've got people in the back that are on like basically like phone bank, you know, all these people on the phone and they're like bidding as well because they've got their client on the phone. I mean, I don't know. I'm so curious to be a fly on the wall of this thing.
So what do you think? You think you could reach out to the listing agent and see if we can come and, you know, spy? Even if we can't record, what if we just went and watched it? And then we can at least talk about it on coffee break.
Listen, I would be totally open to asking her about this. She is having a party, a big party this Saturday, which I am going to try to go to. But yeah, I mean, I would be so curious to be a fly on the wall and just kind of sit there and watch what happens in this auction. I think it would be so cool.
We will be the poorest people there by long shots.
By long shot.
I might wear sweatpants. Let's see if we can make it happen.
Isn't that what they say?
Might
like
be
the
fun.
really rich people don't look it. They just wear
Yeah, I'm so rich. I'm just wearing these holy sweatpants.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I don't need you.
I know. No, I think this is super cool. I'm excited for her. I think that this was a really good, a really interesting marketing technique, and I really hope she sells it. I think that this is neat.
Well, it sounds like I assume if that auction house is involved, they're pretty confident, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see where it goes. I would love to watch it. We got to figure something out.
I wonder if it's like broadcast somewhere. Because I wonder about the people who are bidding from, you know, internationally or something.
All right. Well, let's try to figure that out.
Okay.
And then when is this happening? Is
April
this happening
29th.
this Saturday? Oh, 29th. All right. So we'll mention it in our next record, either coffee break or our next full show.
Okay.
We'll get an update. You'll ask her if it's broadcasting anywhere, and then maybe we could watch it.
We could do a watch party.
Might be fun if we
or we could go.
Yeah, a happy hour watch party.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to. They're not going to let the likes of us in there.
Probably won't.
But no. But maybe we could do a watch party.
Yeah. All right. Let me find out.
Me and you. You know.
Yeah. Let's find out.
One person. All right. Cool. Let's do that.
Okay.
Anything else on this piece, or you want to wrap this up?
I think we can wrap it up.
Okay.
Yeah. But I would say, like, I would encourage everybody to just check out the listing, though. Again, it's 254 Cafferty Road in Pipersville, PA, listed right now for 6.8. It's in Tinicum Township, 1986 build. It is on 11 acres, 15,000 square feet. It's really interesting, and the view is just outstanding.
I'll put a link in the show notes. So if you just look in the show notes, I'll put a link to the listing.
Perfect.
If you want to click through. All right, we will update the peoples on our next episode. So anyway, this was fun, Kristin. Let's get out of here and have a good weekend, and I'll see you at Coffee Break.
All right, see you at Coffee Break.